Welcome everyone to Stay in Your Lane. I'm your host, John Mahle. We are podcasting today from the Food Shippers of America Conference 24. Got a special guest, first time attendee. First time for us podcasting from here and first time for you attending the conference.
That is right.
Wow. Michael Potter, how long have you been in the transportation industry now?
Over 20 years now. I know I don't look it, but
the baby face.
The baby face gets you, but over 20 years of transportation experience.
And the voice. I mean,
it's a great voice.
Thank you.
You may be in the wrong field.
I might be, but they say that there's you can never start over too late,
Yeah.
So who knows?
Right.
Maybe this is a kickoff for something else.
Yeah. If you ever get it to be a podcaster, look me up. I'll be a contributor.
Oh, thank you, man. I appreciate that, Joe. Yeah.
I'll vouch for it.
Yeah.
Can you start tomorrow?
Yeah.
No, anyway. On a serious note, we've seen a nice shift, I would say, from everyone at the conference. It's been very warm to us. What do you feel is something that you really enjoy about the conference now as you've been here for some time?
So far, I would say the networking and making connections with new people, because in the transportation space, it's all about building those relationships, fostering those relationships, and continue to create new ones.
I think the new is a wonderful thing. I think having the venue that allows for open communication.
Absolutely.
And I think, the speakers and the value of the people here. I've met some people here in the past couple of days that have really knocked my socks off.
Oh, yeah.
With some skills.
Yeah. Joe's one of them,
Oh.
My guy.
See?
It's my guy, yeah, I'm telling you.
He recognizes talent, Joe.
Yeah.
He does.
He's got the eye.
I got the eye. There you go.
The eye and the voice.
And the voice. Yeah.
So, as we talk about transportation in today's marketplace, what keeps you up at night worrying about tomorrow or the future in transportation?
Ooh, man. Automation. There's a lot of talk around autonomous vehicles, where we're going with electronics and the self-driving capabilities of vehicles. So what I worry about and what I think about is how is that going to look in 5 to 10 years, 15 years, 20 years? Because where we were prior, traditionally it's always been man in a truck or woman in a truck in the seat, getting from point A to point B as safe as possible. How do we ensure that it's still the process or part of the goal when it comes to automation and self-driving vehicles? And what does that look like from a customer standpoint or a shipper standpoint?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So a lot to think about in the upcoming future for the transportation industry.
I would agree. I think that, you're seeing the electric vehicle component with us, in the industry and I think there's niches where, it can bring value. And I've said that before, but I don't necessarily know that it's throughout the industry at this moment.
Yeah, and that's the thing. We are still quite a ways away from fully engulfing it into the entire industry widespread, but it's coming. It's just a matter of time. When that time is, we don't know.
So as we see technology change and we embrace and want to embrace the technology opportunities that are arising and that are becoming day-to-day, fundamental needs, how do we navigate the impact that they have on the other side? And how do you think forward enough to understand this is the value something brings, and then this is the negative reaction that comes from that?
I think you have to know where you're going in your prospective business models and plans for the future. You have to understand what your objectives are to be able to answer that question and know how it's going to impact you long term. So being ingrained in your operation to understand full scale, big picture, how that potential automation may impact your customers, your end customers, your internal customers as well.
Right.
It's a lot to think about. And doesn't make me worry. I don't want to use the word worry, but it's definitely on the mind a lot. Definitely on the mind a lot.
I think it has to be for everyone in the industry that's maybe committed long term to the industry. When I started in the industry, I'll share this. It was manual.
Mm-hmm.
I know I'm dating myself, but so many of the processes were manual. Well, technology's come, and it's streamlined a lot of it, and it's allowed for huge efficiencies. And I think those things, that we can do and adopt bring value. At some level, we run into pushback, like we're starting to see from a theft perspective.
Oh yeah.
The cargo theft scenario, 10, 20 years ago, cargo theft was normally an inside job either by a carrier or at a shipping location.
And in different industries too. You saw it a lot in the tech industry.
Electronics. Yeah.
That's right.
TVs,
yeah.
VCRs.
Yeah. But now it's expanded to everything.
Right. So
everything's fair game.
Everything. Tide Pods, right? Stealing Tide Pods.
Who wants a truckload of Tide Pods?
Who doesn't appreciate a man who smells nice?
Food is like the number 2 or number 3 item that's stolen. Anything I've seen.
Is it food or food and bev?
Food and bev.
Food
I
and
take
bev,
that back.
yeah.
Food and bev. I take that back.
Yeah, and I would say we see a lot of meats being targeted.
I can see that.
I like a hamburger as much as anybody, but I go to the store and purchase my meat.
Not everybody does, obviously.
Hence the issues.
Yeah.
So things that are hard to track and trace, things that are in high demand, things that we're seeing a technology swing where the technology has outpaced security in our industry.
Oh yeah, and I think there's stake in the game for both parties involved, right? You got the shippers and you have the carriers as well, who they have to collaborate and figure out a way to work together to minimize, and hopefully we won't ever be able to eradicate it completely, but keep it to a minimum as best you can.
Minimize it.
Yeah,
the numbers are staggering that we're seeing.
It's out of control. Yeah. And for us, we're at the Food Shippers Conference, but 10 years ago, food wasn't on that list. It just, you didn't see it that much.
Right.
It was more.
You look at inflation rates are down to 2.9 at the moment, they're saying, but the 3.4 to 2.9, but that last, half to 1.5% getting back down to the 2 that the goal is, that's very sticky. And those core inflation numbers take out food and energy. So, fuel's not in it.
No.
Home heating fuels aren't in those numbers. And food. Well, where's the place where everybody in the United States is bleeding more than food?
The inflation numbers are deflated.
Yeah.
Yes.
Did you guys get that?
I got it.
Yes.
I got it. We got
Write
it.
that down.
Please.
So when we talk about, the markets that we're in and what's impacted, food is not something that people realize, when you start talking about things going up 33%, and if you're a retiree and you're on a fixed income.
Mm-hmm. Well, you look at some of the data that we saw at the start of the conference, how what's going on in today's world is impacting transportation as a whole, because like you just mentioned, people are making that decision. Do I buy food or pay this bill?
Right.
And a lot of people are buying the food and not paying the bill. Credit card debt is extremely high.
At 21%?
Yeah, we're starting.
Best case scenario?
Foreclosures are back on the rise again. We're starting to head down a negative trajectory, but when you see the numbers, they're deflated on inflation, but it's definitely hitting the pockets of every American.
Absolutely.
Everybody's feeling it.
Absolutely.
I think you would have to be very well off to not be really feeling it at some level.
Yes.
We're all making choices.
Absolutely.
Right? So, when you go through the grocery store, you walk around the perimeter of the store and you get the necessities when times are tough.
Yep.
You go down the aisles and you get the wants when you have the opportunities.
Yeah.
So if we learned anything from COVID, is that people actually can still cook in the United States.
It's true.
They can eat at
They
home,
can.
and they're gonna if they don't cook a lot and don't choose to cook a lot, there's enough frozen food options.
And I think COVID opened up a door for health when it comes to people cooking at home. People started to realize that they can make a much better meal at home that's going to taste probably better and be healthier for them if they make the right choices.
It costs a lot less money.
And costs a lot less money.
To go to a restaurant.
You know what I learned? I learned nobody was going to judge me for eating the whole pizza. I wasn't in a restaurant.
Nobody's going to see it.
Did it really happen?
Just you and the pizza.
Right. So, that can happen. That can be a positive and a negative.
You're right. It can.
I mean, the other thing in the food industry is, you get people start making trade-offs. Okay, private label. Do I?
Yep.
Instead of
Yeah,
buying
absolutely.
that beef, I'm going to buy chicken, or am I going to buy frozen or canned? So you get all these trade-offs happening, which you look at some of the numbers of some of the big CPG companies. I mean, they're definitely getting impacted by that.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I used to work for Nestle, and you could see their numbers that, they're basically a branded food company, and they just came out with their year-end results, and it was, sales were down because, even with inflation up, sales were down.
Well, those are luxury.
Private label sales went up.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very much so.
Well, you've had to be a smarter shopper to make it work. Because previous to COVID, so many of the nights of the week, so many Americans were eating out. Mm-hmm. Restaurant business was booming, right?
It's great.
Right? The grocery stores have won.
Yes, they have.
They have
I don't
won.
know. You've been in restaurants, they've been pretty busy lately. I mean, during COVID, I know they.
I think it's
died off.
spotty sometimes, depending on where you are.
Yeah.
And to your point, if you're in some of these higher end areas, you're going to see the restaurants are much busier. Where the opposite is obviously
the business
relevant.
lunches
It's
aren't
not-
like they used to
No,
be.
God, no.
Because so many people are working remote,
Absolutely.
right? And
Or hybrid schedules.
right. And coincidentally, most of the lakes in the Midwest have a lot of people working remote on them during the day.
Oh, wow.
Fishing.
Get out of here. Is that a...
Not me. No. I fish at the fish counter. That's right.
That's where you fish?
Fish counter. Yeah.
Continue watching on the next episode of the Stay in Your Lane podcast.